Hi, I'm Dr. Richard Tscherne, and welcome to Journey into Awareness. Here, every Monday, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Corinne Caro for the opportunity to be on the Daily Blue. My name is Dr. Richard Tscherne. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, and I just published my new book, The Little Engine That Did It, available on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and Balboa Press. How has your day been going today? What did you feel when you woke up this morning? Was your first thought a negative thought or a positive thought? This is what Journey into Awareness is about. It's about becoming aware of our emotions and how they affect our perceptions, how they interfere or help in loving ourselves and others. We're going to be exploring that through these segments. I like to call this show a welcoming in to the new love movement. Do any of you remember the free love movement of the 1960s and the flower children, and how there were positive aspects of that movement? Also negative ones too. But we all learned about loving ourselves and loving each other. I'd also like to make mention that I'm on the Spiritually Raw radio network weekly on Wednesdays from 4:30 to 5:30, speaking about the same types of themes. And I also have a website called richardtscherne.phd.com, where you can drop me a line. You can email me at richardslwpk@optonline.net, or you can call me at 516-776-2030. So getting back to what I was saying before, how was your day today? How did you feel? Were you anxious? Were you happy? Believe it or not, when you start becoming aware of your emotions and understanding how they interplay with how you think and feel, you can basically set your day off on a positive or negative note. So that's what this is about. Understanding how we can become more aware of how we think and feel, which will give us more happiness, or the converse as well. And we're also going to be talking about what to do to make ourselves feel better. Like perhaps laughing. Laughing is a great state. It's the true state of enlightenment. And when you laugh for 5 minutes, you feel better. So we're going to talk about how to become more cheerful and how to laugh. Also, the power of the breath is another way that we can assist in centering ourselves. And do you know that when you breathe 3 times, you activate the parasympathetic nervous system in your body, which also releases the feel-good neurotransmitters in your brain, which are serotonin, endorphins, and enkephalins, which are our natural opiates. So we're going to spend some time in terms of doing some formal exercises like meditations to help us to get into a more aware state than what we probably have presently in this present moment. And meditation doesn't have to be a formal process. It's just a matter of being aware of where your breath is. So take a moment right now and focus on that and just be aware of it. Where are you breathing from? Are you breathing from your chest? Or are you breathing from your abdomen and diaphragm. If you're breathing from your chest, you're activating the sympathetic nervous system. And when you activate that aspect of your nervous system, you produce a lot more norepinephrine. And by doing that, you are producing more anxiety or engaging what we call the fight or flight response. And back when we were cavemen, that's what we needed to get away from bigger animals than ourselves so we wouldn't become their food. But having said that, we don't necessarily need to use that mechanism as much as we do. So we're going to learn how to disengage that mechanism and become more peaceful in our daily lives. And it would be helpful for you to drop me a line if you wish, because the more feedback that I get from you, the more rounded this show becomes and the more colorful. And you can also become part of the New Love movement and become an integral part of loving yourself and others. So I would like your feedback as well. I know you're out there. Just begin. Because today is the first day where you're going to see yourself differently. And isn't that exciting? And that's what we don't pay attention to enough either. That when we have a thought, that influences how we think and feel. But here's the thing about thoughts. When we change that thought, we also change our perception in that moment too, and we change our future again. So as part of being aware, we also have to become conscious of the thoughts that we choose to pay attention to. In other words, we want to become conscious choice makers in terms of what we pay attention to in our minds up here. And our thoughts are kind of like the stock market ticker tape. And we can attend to any thought that's in that line. So we want to tune in to the thoughts that are there, and instead of picking the negative thoughts, which we're kind of programmed to do, I remember my Nana always saying to me when I was a child, don't always hope for the best. Expect the worst, and then you won't be disappointed. And that was when I was 5 years old. So she already introduced that thought into my head when I was a child. And that's what happens to us too. Through modeling, thoughts are introduced to us, and then they become part of our way of thinking, seeing, and being in the world. And we need to take a look at that and see if that works for us in terms of our coping mechanisms. And we all have coping mechanisms, or else we wouldn't be able to move from one day to the next. It's just a matter of understanding if our coping mechanisms are adaptive to us and healthy, mentally and physically, or not. And if they get into our way, and if they prevent us from doing things that we want to do. On my radio show last week, I talked about the beginning series of what is called ego states. And the first ego state that I spoke of last week is pride. And that's an emotional state. And there are positive and negative aspects of pride. So we're going to be talking about that too, in terms of perception and how that perception affects how we live our life. So pride has a negative aspect, but it also has a positive aspect. And I also spoke about procrastination, having a negative aspect and a positive aspect too. So these are the concepts that we're going to discuss also here on Journey into Awareness on the Daily Blue. every Monday at 1:30. So let me continue. So we want to become aware of our breath, number one, and also aware of the choices that the thoughts that we attend to, number two. And the more positive thoughts that we choose to pay attention to, the better we're going to feel, because it's going to affect our breathing, number one, and our production of neurotransmitters too, number two, also, However, we're not going to be aware of that as quickly as our breath, because you're going to know that you are feeling better because you're going to be breathing from a different place in your body, your abdomen. You'll be able to understand too that emotionally you're going to be feeling better as well, because you're going to be feeling lighter and happier, and maybe you'll smile. And that's another thing I want to discuss too, which we're going to be doing in a more formal way. I want you to start doing exercises that will make you feel better. Like, you ever talk to yourself in a mirror? I do. But don't tell anybody. But I always talk to myself and say, how are you doing today? And I practice smiling at myself in the mirror. And it really does help you feel better. I also do a gratitude list. And it's amazing once you start to write down what you're grateful for, how many things go on that list. And I think that's another thing that's important in terms of focusing our awareness and becoming more, becoming more aware of how we are in any given moment. Journaling is also a good way to tune into your awareness too. Writing down each day how you think and feel. And when you start doing this in the morning, you'd be surprised how your emotions will shift by the end of your day. So I recommend that too. And also reading a book that will inspire you to reach your goals or start you on becoming more goal-directed and procrastinating less and becoming prideful in a positive way, because accomplishment is a positive aspect of pride, which can also be said in terms of self-love, because that's what we're about here on the Daily Blue and Journey into Awareness. We're about learning how to love ourselves. And it's going to be a wonderful journey. Trust me, because I've been there too. And it's all detailed in my new book, The Little Engine That Did It, published by Balboa Press and available through balboapress.com, amazon.com, and barnesandnoble.com. And perhaps in a little while, it'll be available at your local bookstore too. We'll have to see. So, getting back to what I was saying, our emotions are directly affected by our breathing and other things that are unconscious. And this all comes from our body, which is an amazing mechanism. And that's also another aspect of becoming more aware of ourselves, appreciating our body from where it is. I know from my own experience having cerebral palsy that was a difficult pill to swallow and a difficult lesson to learn. And once I learned how to appreciate my body and how it functions, even though I have limitations, I felt better about myself, and I was able to love myself on a more deeper level. So, ask yourself, do I appreciate my body? Do I put good food in it? Or maybe not. Do I exercise? These are all important questions that you have to ask yourself when you want to go on a new journey and a new path and get on the love train and power your own little engine to reach your goals in life, which leads you to empowerment and self-love. And that's what we're talking about here on the Daily Blue and Journey into Awareness every Monday here. So these are the questions that I'd like you to ask yourself, and I'd like you to write down and perhaps start journaling about. And then we will get more specific, do more specific exercises. I will also be interviewing people here and find out about their own journey into awareness and how they learn to love themselves through overcoming their own struggles in life. So it's going to be a fascinating journey. And it is going to be a new love movement. And let's face it, don't we all need a little more love in this world? I think so. We can't lose. Anyway, it's nice to be with you on the Daily Blue. And I'll see you next week. Take it easy and make it a good day, make it a good week, and give yourself a hug and love yourself. Bye for now.